E eu estava aqui aflito que não conseguia ligar. Peço desculpa.
A reunião está agora a ser transmitida em YouTube, é só para saber.
Eu sei, eu estou a ver ali. Mas é sempre um avisar que eu digo muitas asneiras, portanto. Ok, podemos começar?
Podemos, claro que sim.
Não sei, Andreia, pode ser?
Só está aquela sala? Está a Sílvia também, não é?
Está a Sílvia, está o auditório e a sala, sim.
Ok. É em inglês?
Em inglês.
Okay.
E a Marlene fica com compartilha a tela, pode ser? E depois passa para mim o controle.
A partir da introdução eu passo para vocês.
Exato, ok.
So, well, good afternoon, everybody. We are back to our seminars. We continue to be kind of in a blended situation where some of us are on site and some are far away. Today, I want to thank very much Isabel for accepting with her people to join us for this afternoon seminar. She is a full professor of psychology at our neighbor university, Minho University. And she has a very strong life course in the academia and in research and in translating work into society, and that's part of it she's going to present us. So thank you very much, Isabel, for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon, everybody. We are really very pleased to join all of you today to present our ProChild CoLAB. I would like to thank Professor Henrique Barros for this kind invitation and for being with ProChild since its beginning. It is really a privilege for us to have the collaboration from him and from ISPUP, an outstanding Center on Public Health. I would like to acknowledge as well the great involvement and helpful support from Professor Elizabeth Ramos, and I want to thank the ISPUP team for all the kind support to our work and to ProChild CoLAB. Okay, so today our talk will address, okay, let me start here. Marlene, I have not the possibility to change.
Não está a aparecer aqui a opção de transmitir o controle à professora Isabel. Não sei se tem que ver com os controles que me dão a mim neste momento. Não estou a conseguir, efetivamente.
Vocês querem
estão
ficar
a ver a tela, mas não estou a conseguir.
Joana, podes pôr a professora Isabel Soares como host?
Aqui o problema é não estar a ser a professora Isabel a compartilhar a tela, não é? Tinha que ser.
Se houver problemas, a Marlene, eu vou dando sinal e a Marlene.
Exato.
Não há problema. Ok.
Ótimo, professora. Acho que sim.
Okay, that's fine. So, our talk will address two main topics. So, Marlene, firstly, I will give you an overview of the ProChild CoLAB, the reasons for its development, its mission, aims, strategic areas, and current projects. And in the second part, Marlene Souza, as researcher at ProChild CoLAB, will address in detail, more detail, a specific community project around child mental health in pandemics called Co-Action Against COVID-19. So, to set the stage, let me explain briefly what is a CoLAB, a collaborative laboratory. It's really a new entity in the Portuguese scientific structure, created by FCT in order to enhance the density of knowledge-based activities by fostering the consolidation of collaborative practices between scientific, technological, or higher education institution and the social and economic fabric in terms of business or healthcare system or cultural institution and social organizations. So CoLABs are non-profit private associations, or even can be also companies, which main goal is to create skilled and scientific jobs in Portugal, both directly or indirectly, by implementing research and innovation agendas to create economic and social value. So within this framework, ProChild CoLAB wants to address the dramatic scenario of our Portuguese children living in poverty and social exclusion. As you may know, Portugal is one of the countries with higher income inequality in Europe. Around 22% of Portuguese children are living in poverty. And the number of children in poverty exposed to violence has been increasing. But what is even more problematic is that the current responses have been insufficient and inadequate. The programs are not integrated. The programs are not integrated, mostly are ad hoc and insufficient. Almost we have no evaluations of program implementations, and in generally is lacking a multi-sector and scientifically informed perspective. So, taking into account this dramatic scenario, we consider that this new entity, the CoLAB, could be a kind of game changer, a road to build new and integrated solutions against child poverty and social exclusion. Thus, 2 years ago, we submitted a proposal to FCT for a new CoLAB, and we called it ProChild CoLAB, aimed to develop an integrated national strategy against poverty and social exclusion in childhood. And this proposal was based on 4 main features: a science-based approach, linking academic researchers from a wide range of scientific and technological areas with on-the-ground stakeholders around a common innovative agenda, aiming to bridge the gap between public and private sectors, promoting the high qualification of professionals and team in the field, and contribute to evidence-based public policies and advocacy promoting children's rights. So the ProChild CoLAB was approved by an international panel to be funded by FCT for the next 5 years. And it was established as a non-profit private association last year with a strategic science-based vision motivated by the evidence that a good start in life will ensure a sustainable future for all. And briefly, I would say that ProChild CoLAB is a hub of research, social intervention, and professional training, based on an interdisciplinary approach, linking researchers from a wide range of areas and on-the-ground stakeholders around a common innovative agenda, aligning social intervention and technological innovation in design projects, collecting and analyzing data, disseminating information, and scaling programs and other products fitting children, families, professionals, and stakeholders' needs. And last but not the least, contributing to science-based public policies and advocacy to promote child's rights. So in terms of impact, we expect that ProChild CoLAB will have impact at least at 3 levels: academia, institutions, and society. Academia for contributing in terms of research and technological innovation and offering academic and professional training. At the level of institutions, offering empirically or validated social intervention programs, and based on this link between professional and researchers and practices, and contributing or promoting corporate social responsibility. And in terms of society, contributing to scientifically informed public policies and to the empowerment of the community. So, who are we? ProChild CoLAB includes 15 associates with its head office in Guimarães. It integrates 7 universities, as you can see: University of Minho, Porto, Aveiro, Faculty of Psychology at University of Lisboa, University of Coimbra, Catholic University, also is this associated lab, Centro de Estudos Sociais, Lisbon School of Economics and Management, an interface center which offers all our technological support and development, Centro de Computação Gráfica, the CCG, but also the Municipality of Guimarães. And we have 3 private companies, small, medium, and also large private companies. So Irmãos Rodrigues, a textile company, Soares, and the DST group. We have also Santa Casa Misericórdia de Lisboa, the biggest and the oldest charity in Portugal. And we have also, as an associate, the Fundação Vasco Verde Almeida, which offers legal support to ProChild. So, supported by stakeholders and academic researchers, and we have these 7 universities, and in total we have 15 research centers offering specific areas of expertise, from biology to neurosciences to public health, and ISPUP is our Center of Public Health, to psychology, to sociology, education, law and economics, design and architecture, and engineering. So we have these 15 FCT centers integrated in these different universities, offer this kind of expertise. So our ProChild team includes high qualified professionals and researchers with different backgrounds. So it's really a multidisciplinary team. Now we have 15 members, but the whole team, we are in a recruitment process for some situations. In the next month, we will have 20 people. Okay, so moving now to implementation, to action. And we have 3 main strategic interrelated areas: the ProChild Academy, a ProChild Observatory, and a group of R&D units. ProChild Academy is being launched, and it aims to offer scientific training to professionals and teams, but also for parents and children. The ProChild Observatory is centered on data monitoring and analysis. The main aim of this observatory is to systematize and organize child-centered data in order to support policies and to guarantee children's rights, their development and well-being. Our R&D units are organized in terms of 2 related, I would say 2 interrelated axes. One focus on social intervention and the other focus on technological development. This innovative alliance between social intervention and technological development is actually the landmark of ProChild. Actually, we believe that the synergies between these two axes can make a difference, allowing high quality and a more efficient social responses. The social intervention axe integrates 4 main units. And briefly, only to give you an idea, the health and well-being unit is focused on the definition, development and implementation of action research projects, aiming to promote physical and mental health of children between 0 and 10 years old and their families. More specifically, we are now conducting different projects aiming to explore, to analyze the COVID-19 impact on several dimensions of children's health and development. And Marlene, later on, will present one of these ongoing projects within this unit. Development Education Unit has 2 main projects. The first project aims to improve the quality of education at the day care centers for children from 0 to 3 years through a new empirically based model of evaluation, intervention, and professional training. This is very important. We have to improve the quality of the educational offer for children below 3. And this is one of our projects. The second project within this unit is focused on the quality of non-formal education through artistic, playful, and creative initiatives in schools. The aim here is to enhance the educational resources, particularly in deprived communities and social contexts for children, for promoting children's development and well-being. Social Participation Unit works for the active involvement of children and adults in the design of social educational and also architectural projects aimed at improving living conditions and building child-friendly urban spaces. The Child Protection Unit, it includes several projects, and among them, I would like also to point out the development of a model for assessment and intervention in foster familial care, in order to guarantee that when children are removed from their families of origin, they will have alternative familial care of high quality, promoting their development and well-being. Unfortunately, in Portugal, when children are removed from their families, they go to institutions. And ProChild wants to create and to contribute for other alternative care, but family-based. So foster family is really a very important project for ProChild CoLAB. And we are much involved with Santa Casa, Misericórdia de Lisboa, to develop this new model of foster families in Portugal. Considering the technological development, the digital unit is involved in several projects also, but related to design and communication, and also to the ProChild platform based on big data infrastructure, giving support to our different projects and also providing services to the various stakeholders. And finally, the nanotechnology unit. I would say that this unit is much centered on basic research linked to the identification of biomarkers, mainly related to the neuroinflammatory mechanisms that can link early adverse experiences to children's mental health during their first years. Currently, our projects are located in the north of Portugal, and particularly around Guimarães. And we have a specific community, Pevidem, which is a very particular area in Guimarães, and some of our projects are being carried out in this community. And also in Lisbon, in Santa Casa, and in Lisbon we have only projects related to protection. So our idea is that we have two different, but only two territories to develop, to test, and to validate programs and other kind of products, which will be later scaled up to other contexts. So starting in specific areas and after being validated our programs and products, we can and we will obviously scale up to other contexts in terms of a national context. So after this overview, we will focus now on a specific project that we think fits quite well in the public health field and maybe of special interest for all of you. And Marlene, as the coordinator of the Health and Wellbeing Unit, will present now to you.
So, good afternoon. As Professor Isabel said, my name is Marlene Souza and I am a researcher at ProChild CoLAB, specifically associated to the health and well-being axis. I would like to thank you for the invitation, also to present a project that we, ProChild CoLAB, developed and that involves an integrated community response to face the needs of children and families during a pandemic period. This is a project, as I said, coordinated by the ProChild CoLAB that brought together the efforts of its different partners and associates. Also, it is a project that exemplifies the multidisciplinary and collaborative character of our work, since it brings together efforts from different areas of ProChild and also from community. The title of this project is Co-Action Against COVID-19, Screening, Assessment and Psychological Intervention in Children's Mental Problems During Pandemic. A basic and transversal principle to all ProChild CoLAB projects is the development of integrated responses supported by scientific evidence involving collaboration and intersectoral articulation between professionals and support service for children and families in the community. The ProChild CoLAB intervention aims to bridging the gap in the relationship between science and practice, promoting the adherence to practice based on scientific evidence and its sustainability, and fostering collaborative and intersectoral work between professionals, namely from health, education, child protection sectors, and identities and community contexts. When in March we faced a pandemic crisis, we knew little about its likely evolution. However, previous experiences of adversity, crisis, and catastrophe suggest that children, despite not being at a risk group in relation to the direct effects of COVID-19, are a group especially vulnerable to the psychosocial impact of the pandemic. It has already been demonstrated that the loss, fear, and stress strongly associated with COVID-19 exacerbate existing mental health problems and contribute to a higher incidence of stress and trauma-related disorders. As a stressor, the current pandemic scenario had risks to the typical characteristics of a traumatic event, namely the uncertainty about the evolution and the time limit of the pandemic, the mortality associated with the disease, the extensive media coverage, the social isolation, the financial losses, and the intensification of social inequalities. COVID-19 pandemic and the measures of public health, including confinement, social distancing, and school closure, are stress-inducing factors with impact on parents and children's mental health, as shown by a recent transnational study carried out by ProChild, CoLAB and University of Lisbon. We have found higher anxiety and lower well-being in Portuguese children and their parents during confinement, comparing to reference values and to families of other European countries. In this regard, early adverse experiences, which includes stressful and potential traumatic events, such as COVID-19 pandemic, accounts for about 45% of all childhood onset mental health disorders, namely anxiety and mood disorders, and 32% of all later onset disorders associated with elevated rates of both acute and chronic psychological disorders. This is in fact a demanding period for families with an impact on caregivers, mental health problems, substance abuse and family dynamics, for example, family tension and conflicts, neglect care, with repercussions on childcare, namely exposure to violence, parental abuse, and consequently on his or her mental health. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, the indication of three areas of potential impact on children was emphasized: the neglect and lack of care, the mental health and the psychosocial stress, and exposure to violence. The scenario becomes more worrying in children and families already vulnerable due to, for example, contexts and processes of social economical exclusion, scarcity of resources, abuse dynamics within the family, and needs or special health conditions. Processes of discrimination, violence, social exclusion, stigmatization intensify, and children are particularly susceptible and vulnerable to its effects. So, interventions aim to promote mental health and treatment of psychological problems should address pandemic as an adverse experience that affects children, but also the entire community. Hence, the need to devise strategies that allow the identification of those who manifest psychological problems that emerged or have been intensified during the pandemic period, and that may compromise their long-term functioning. A large-scale strategy anchored in the community should, however, be complemented by evidence-based indicated interventions aimed to address stress-related problems. This is especially important with regard to the group of younger children who need specialized treatment because they are particularly vulnerable to the psychosocial effects of the pandemic. So it is imperative to take measures to minimize and/or counter risk factors. Measures must be taken urgently in a logic of intervention in crisis situation, but at the same time, they should be structured to face a long-term impact. It is essential to meet the specific needs of individuals and contexts, which requires proximity. It's necessary diversify actions to meet all kinds of situations, from universal interventions to some specifically designed interventions for situations for especially vulnerability. It is important that these interventions are articulated, integrated, and coordinated in a collaborative intersectoral logic. And finally, they must be based on scientific knowledge and they must be properly monitored and evaluated. It was a model based on these principles that was developed in the municipality of Guimarães. So, Based on these principles of a collaborative, intersectoral and multi-level community intervention, it was developed a project, the ProChild Collaborative Action Against COVID-19, that seeks to respond to the multiple needs and challenges that children and families face in this pandemic period. So this project involves a set of actions that cover the municipality of Guimarães and includes professionals from different areas who, in their practice, work in the context of health, education, and protection. The implemented actions aim to reinforce and reorganize the existing community resources towards a multi-level community intervention that is based on universal, selective, and indicated strategies that will be adequate to the needs evidenced by children and families. During the confinement, the universal strategy implemented in the municipality of Guimarães was conducted through the ProChild Kit, which consists of a multidisciplinary intervention carried out by teachers of the curriculum enrichment activities in order to achieve two objectives: to create opportunities for the development of multiple skills in children, and to identify, support, and refer children who experience emotional and behavioral difficulties. In terms of selective strategies, the strategy implemented was the constitution and training of a group of professionals in the educational sector, crisis managers for childhood, as you can see, who have acted as reference figures in a work of proximity with children and their families and in close articulation with community responses. The role of this professional was to mitigate the effects of the pandemic and confinement on the health and well-being of children, especially in cases of greater social vulnerability. Their functions were establish a supportive relationship, restore security, guaranteeing the physical and emotional comfort of children and families, to help to identify their immediate concerns and needs, to offer practical support and provide useful information, to reestablish people's contact with their social support network, and to articulate community responses to the identified needs. So these were the actions. And now, as an indicated strategy, we developed the co-action against COVID-19 that we are going to present in a detailed manner. So, co-action against COVID-19 is an action research project to screen, evaluate, and intervene in the mental health problems of children in the context of a pandemic. It is a joint initiative of the Guimarães municipality, ProChild CoLAB, the Psychology Research Center of the University of Minho, and the Psychology Association of the University of Minho. And it has several partners from academia and health sectors, as you can see by the logos below. So this is a project that aims to conduct a community screening, assessment, and psychological intervention for children between 3 and 10 years old from the municipality of Guimarães, and aims to validate the implementation of a community intervention addressing children's mental health problems during a pandemic context. It includes a randomized control trial with the objective of studying the efficacy of psychological intervention delivered by us. This indicated strategy is sequentially integrated in 2 phases. The first phase includes the screening of psychological problems of children aged between 3 and 10 years old from public schools of the municipality of Guimarães, plus a psychology assessment of children who score above the cutoff point in the screening. And the second phase includes the psychological intervention indicated for children with stress-related problems and their families. So, in the screening, the parents are invited to participate in screening about their children. The screening procedure is based on 2 questionnaires completed by parents on the ProChild online platform, a platform already developed and available for this study with the support of our technological team. And it includes a socio-demographic questionnaire to assess socio-demographic and health-related information about parents and children, and information about the impact of COVID-19 on children's emotional state and daily routines, and also the strengths and difficulties questionnaire, a questionnaire with 25 items that evaluates children's social and behavioral problems. The total score ranges between 0 and 40, and it is used the cutoff for clinical problems. So children who score above the cutoff point in this questionnaire and that are not receiving any form of psychological intervention will be invited to integrate the psychological assessment phase. Moving to the psychological assessment, this phase aims to determine if children's psychological problems are stress-related, for example, an anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and to obtain important information about parents' mental health and parenting practice. So after the screening, parents will be invited to fill out different questionnaires on the ProChild online platform. And we use the screening for child anxiety-related emotional disorders to assess school-age children's anxiety disorders, or the Spence preschool anxiety scale for to assess preschool-age children anxiety disorders. We also use the parenting practice interview to assess rigid and inconsistent parenting practice, the parental burnout assessment to assess parental burnout, and Warwick-Edinburgh mental well-being scale to assess parents' mental health and well-being. So these are the questionnaires that we use in the assessment phase. Additionally, parents and children are invited to participate in an online session with a therapist. And in this session, parents and children are assessed using a clinical interview, and those children diagnosed with stress-related disorders, for example, an anxiety disorder, will be integrated in the intervention. Children with other disorders, for example, severe mental impairments and genetic syndromes, will be referred to the health institution in the community, for example, primary care units, hospitals, which are partners of this project. This is our flowchart. So children who score above the cutoff point in the screening and that are not receiving any forms of psychological intervention are invited to integrate the psychological assessment phase. And if children are diagnosed with stress-related disorder in this phase, they will be integrated in the psychological intervention. Okay, so this is, and our psychological intervention consists in a short-term intervention with 6 sessions that relies on cognitive behavioral strategies to enhance parental skills to identify and respond in a sensitive and empathic way to the child in order to regulate his or her distress. And this intervention program is focused on parent-to-child interaction during challenging daily routine situations. So this is our intervention. So RCT with 2 arms, a psychological intervention group and a waiting list control group will be carried out to test the efficacy of the intervention. The participants that met the inclusion criteria will be randomized and blindly allocated to one of these groups. For the intervention group, the intervention begins right after the assessment session. And for the waiting list group, the intervention begins 6 weeks after the assessment session. The efficacy assessment will comprise 3 moments for both groups: baseline assessment at the moment of group allocation, 6 weeks after group allocation, and 24 weeks after the end of the treatment. Psychological data will be collected in these 3 moments using the questionnaires that we mentioned before. Children's saliva samples will be also collected at the same moments by parents at home. And this is our project. Thank you for your attention. I will stop the. Okay.
Okay, so we are now available to questions, to comments, to clarifications. Please feel free.
Isabel, estás muted.
Estão a ouvir?
Sim.
Não, estão a ouvir?
Sim.
Are you listening to me? Okay, so what I said is that we are now available to talk with you, to know your comments or need of clarification.
Já não.
This is a first question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Sr. Henrique? Are you listening? Are you seeing the questions here?
Yes, I can see the questions. I think Professor Henrique is not listening.
No.
Sim.
Yes, I think he is not listening. We'll see what is happening.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the questions here?
Yeah. Isabel, can you see the questions?
Yes.
So go ahead, please.
Okay. So one question is about your possible involvement in ProChild. First of all, I thank you for this question because it's important for us to know that it is a possibility and it's opportunity to explain how it works. Yes, I would say yes, you are welcome in different ways. First of all, related to ISPUP, because ISPUP is an associate, we work with ISPUP team. So in our projects, such as this, for instance, as Marlene present to you, but also others, you are welcome in terms of contributing in specific research activities, in data analysis, or in terms of literature review and so on. So different research activities you can help, you can contribute to our project. Obviously, this kind of involvement has to be formally created by your institution, in this case ISPUP. But yes, ProChild, as I told you, as this kind of hub research center, and the training of students, pre-graduation and post-graduated students are real welcome. So I would say that this is possible. Another possibility, and we have already, is in terms of practical or internships. We have already internships during the graduation and also professional internships, again, related to specific institutions or a research center or related to faculties and so on. So ProChild CoLAB is open to students training in different levels, or being involved in specific research activities, or being involved in a more systematic or formal collaboration in terms of internships, in terms of school or in terms of professional internships. So you are welcome. You asked about, maybe I will give Marlene will help me, but I want to talk about this question about COVID-19 and the confinement, if in terms of a positive opportunity. Yes, obviously, staying at home can also offer an opportunity for more proximity, for sharing interests, activities. So yes, I would say that in specific situation, in specific familial contexts, this is really an opportunity. It's not easy, but I would say that it is an opportunity for this kind of positive involvement between parents and children and siblings and other family members. But obviously, this is possible if the family has resources, as ways to cope with this challenge. Because at the same time, to stay at home, everybody staying at home during 24 hours in several days a week, it's really a challenge. So this implies to have, for instance, space to be close, but at the same time to have some distance, to breathe, or to be independent in terms of doing specific private activities and so on. So this balance, I would say that most families, unfortunately, in Portugal, do not have these conditions. Many have, but I would say that many do not have. So if these conditions are not met, this time is really can be very stressful for parents. So obviously, I'm talking about conditions, physical conditions, space, and so on. This is important, but obviously, we are also talking, and most important than that, is the quality of the family relations. And when families work well, they have positive relationships, and the climate is open, is flexible. Obviously, even when they face challenges as the confinement, they have psychological resources or relational resources to cope with it. It's not easy, but it is possible because they can manage based on their past experience, even when they have some conflicts. Obviously, conflicts makes part of daily life, but they have resources to do this. So I would say that we need for this challenge to have physical conditions and psychological or relation conditions. And when these conditions, when families have this is really a nice opportunity. Obviously, we are missing other opportunities that are very relevant for this familial context work well with this time. So we have time to do this. If this is too much time, these resources, even when we have positive resources and rich resources, obviously, if they are used too much, we lose our capacity. So I would say that the time of confinement is also an important variable, even for families who work well, who have these kind of conditions. But at the end, I would say, not all children are suffering with confinement and with this public health. But for most children, for most families, this is a time of big challenge. And for those families who have not these kind of resources, psychological, physical, social, financial, and so on, this is really very, very heavy and very difficult. And obviously, when they have some vulnerabilities, past vulnerabilities, as Marlene showed you, these vulnerabilities in this time, in stressful time, obviously, these vulnerabilities grow up. And a vulnerability from one person can be also vulnerability for all the group, all the family, because they share this confined space and confined time also. So this, we can have a certain contaminating these particularly difficulties or individual difficulties can be more easily contaminated to other people. So the climate may be more difficult for everybody. So obviously we want to help families, parents and children to cope with these difficulties, but believing, and it is clear that there are important individual and family differences. And the capacity to respond to COVID-19 and to confinement is obviously, we have a wide range of different responses in terms of this situation. So I would say that some children and some parents and some families did well, very well in this time of confinement. It's not also always an adverse experience for everybody. How did you go about starting this CoLAB initiative? How long did it take you to gather the affiliates and build the project scope? It takes a long time, and we are just beginning. It started, this project started in our minds. So in terms of design, it started at the beginning of 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. So I would say that's about 1 year and 1 year and a half to organize our proposal, to join, to put together the partners in terms of academia, in terms of other stakeholders, different institutions. So step by step, we could grow up in terms of building this national consortium. We submitted our proposal to FCT in 2018. We have to review the first proposal to add this technological component, because at the first proposal, it was not so clear the technological component of the ProChild. And the international panel, I think, very well challenged us to go further into the articulation and integration of technology in our proposal. And I think it was really great for us to have this advice. And in 2019, we were informed that we succeeded. We have the highest grade in terms of classification for the international panel, and the association was formally constituted just one year ago in December last year. Oh, it was not easy to organize a proposal. It is, I believe, I think it is really an ambitious proposal, and but at the same time, it was really nice, interesting to feel the enthusiasm of the different entities, private and public entities that joined us. So we designed the proposal or the project. It was approved, and now we are building it in the field. And obviously, now we have to make some choices, some options in terms of offering much more attention or giving more attention to specific aims and specific ideas than others. So we are making a kind of refinement of the initial proposal. And obviously COVID-19 was really a challenge for ProChild. As you see, this is a CoLAB, very linked to social arena, to social field. Intervention is our DNA. So when we also prevented to go and to work in the schools and in different institutions, it was really very difficult for us to start action plan and being prevented to do this. It was really a challenge for us. So we have also, as everyone, to adapt to these new circumstances. And as Marlene explained to you, we try to go with our associates, with our stakeholders, and respond to the needs of COVID-19. So we changed a little bit our action plan and our aims in order to adjust to the urgent needs in terms of the social arena, and obviously the online and the media, the digital media was really very important for this kind of response. So at a distance, but at the same time being very close with the professionals, with the teams. And particularly in Guimarães, the municipality of Guimarães was really very, very good in launching quick response in terms of these managers, crisis managers, people who were really very close to the people, to the institutions, and to identify the needs in the confinement and try to offer alternatives and support. And we were with these crisis managers also to help them, to all this team, to respond and to the community needs. More questions? Marlene, do you want to go on? We have several questions here.
This question in the coaction against COVID-19, how resilience of children was addressed. So we addressed resilience in the clinical interview, in the assessment phase. We look for problems, but also for the resources of children and families. So we address this topic, this dimension in the clinical interview with the family. And also during the intervention, it's an important dimension that we address. We foster the resilience of the child and the parents during the psychological intervention. So I think that is a dimension very important to us. And also we use the Kids Screen questionnaire also to evaluate this dimension, this resilience, the quality of life of children. So we are focused on problems, but also in the resources of children and families.
The question about children's parents that have a mental problem. Yes, I would say that this is a very important question. As Marlene explained to you, we have the opportunity to meet, to have an interview with parents and children. So obviously, this is focused on children's mental health problems. But obviously, in some cases, we have the opportunity or the possibility to at least to identify parents' problems. And if we consider that this mental health should have some professional response, we will help parents to get this kind of support from our partners. This project is related to a specific aim, children's mental health, but we have several partners at the community in terms of the hospital, the primary care at the community. So these kind of links allow us to identify specific problems that we cannot respond, but these partners can respond. So I think that this is really a community response for this. So obviously in this case, we would advise our parents to look for some kind of professional support at the community. And if they are interested and available for this, we could help them to have an effective support for them. So these kind of links are integrated in our community project. You are talking one question about socio-demographic data. This project is related, this project is focused on the whole community. So in terms of the screening, we have about 8,000 children from 3 to 10 years old. So we will use this platform. Parents will respond. Obviously, we didn't talk about that, but this is very important. We have informed consent, so all the process in terms of data protection is really very, very important for us. So all the conditions are met. But when parents accept to participate, so we contact all the parents through this platform in the community. The parents who respond to our questionnaires and go on this process will be included in our study. So the first is the screening, and after, obviously, based on previous studies, we expect about 20% of children that maybe needs help. But obviously some children have mental health problems related to other circumstances, and some of them have already support. So the number of children we will have support from our project are obviously less than this. So this is a step-by-step project. We will start. Yes, Marlene, go on.
I think it is important to note that for vulnerable families that not have access to a computer will have managers in schools to help parents to fill out the questionnaire. So this is a proximity approach to all the families in the municipality. So I think that we can, in fact, have in our project more vulnerable families, children. For that, we have strategies to that focus these families, the participation of these families in the study.
Ellen, do you want to respond to the first?
Okay, can you see the whole question, please?
The first. We are starting this project. Okay, yes, that one.
Yeah, we are starting, so we have no data regarding this question.
But I think that this is important to be aware. This project we are present to you, the co-action, actually started in the first phase of COVID-19. That is before summer. We organize, we plan the study, we contact all the partners and so on. So we started to organize everything before summer. And we have obviously this ethical part of the study, which takes a lot of time. And I think this is important for you working, studying public health. The need to be aware and to be very cautious in terms of ethical principles, in terms of data protection and so on. And it takes really several months. And we are waiting for the green light of all these data protection processes and ethical committee approval and so on. So some phases are already okay, we have green light, but we are just waiting for the last green light in terms of the DPO and so on. So there are several procedures we have to guarantee before starting working and with launching this project in terms of our ProChild platform. So everything from our side, everything is ready, but we have to wait for this. And with many research projects at the ethical committee in our university, it took some time to wait. We are also in the waiting list because there are several projects going on at the same time, and obviously we have limited resources, so we have to wait. But we are ready. But we did not start yet at the community with this project, but everything is ready to start. And we hope that in the next days. But obviously, we are thinking always in the next week we can start, but it takes more time. But only after having the green lights from all these ethical entities and data protection responsibles, we can go on. This is a very interesting question.
Quer responder ao do confinamento?
Yeah. I would say that, we can respond only based on what we collected. And as you saw, our assessment protocol is much focused on specific psychological problems, child psychological problems in terms of anxiety and depression and stress-related problems, and also on parental practices. So I would say that specifically in terms of maltreatment, we will not collect the data focus on this. So I would say no, it is not possible for us to talk about maltreatment and mental health problems because we are not collecting data. We have some information about parental practices in terms of neglect and so on. So, but this is not the same saying that we are examining or collecting data about maltreatment. So I would say no. Specifically in terms of maltreatment and mental health, we will have no response. But having said this, I would say that we will have data concerning the relationship between specific parental practices, including neglect, which is really important in this maltreatment field at large, and children's mental health problems. We will have this, and we will have also information in terms of socioeconomic demographic information that will help us to relate these associations in a socio-ecological framework. That is, we can analyze data in terms of poverty or at least social disadvantaged conditions, life conditions, and parental practices and mental health problems or stress-related problems, because indeed we are much more focused on stress-related problems than in general mental health problems. Obviously for children I'm talking about generally based on the screen and the psychological assessment. Obviously during the intervention, we will have other kind of information that can be used and related with this previous data related to the screening and to the assessment phase. About attachment. We know, I talk about the quality of parental relations or family relations and the effects of, or the links between this and the confinement and pandemic experiences. Obviously, we know that there are clear associations between these events. Specifically, I would not say we have no information about pre-COVID versus post-COVID, but what we know is that all these kind of life events or social and community events, so I'm talking in a very general way in terms of the different experiences that COVID-19 bring to child-parent relationships. The impact of this is related to the quality of the relationship between the child and parents. And we know that secure parent-child relationships are obviously much more favorable to respond to these kind of challenges. So what my response to this is what we know from the knowledge about the way the child-parent relationship impact in terms of different life events would be the same in terms of pre-COVID and post-COVID. Post-COVID is a very challenging context, and if the child-parent relationship has much more difficulties, obviously the impact of this event would be much much more negative. So I would not expect specific or different associations than those found for other kind of social contexts in terms of the impact in the quality of child-parent relationship. That is, the attachment research about crisis situations or crisis events shows that the quality of the parent-child attachment is really a very protective or risk factor for the way they respond, child and parents respond to these kind of events.
Andrea, no further questions?
We do not have more questions.
No?
No?
Okay. So if there are no more questions, I think, okay, it's time to close this session. I just want to deeply thank Isabel and Marlene for giving this very comprehensive overview of the organization and of a specific response of this CoLAB. And I hope that it also promoted the interest and the curiosity, and probably will result in more people engaged in the activities of the lab. So thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much. And thank you, Marlene, for being with us today. And I hope you have a very nice and as free as possible weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Henrique. Thank you all for your attention. It was really very nice to be here and join you. So
yeah, I hope next time we can meet in the same place.
Yes, for sure.
Bye-bye.
For sure. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.